We'll try it. See how it sounds. You can do.
Hello?
Well, we're recording. I was gonna say
Yeah,
you can.
we're live.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say you can do a test recording if you want before we actually do this, and then listen to it.
This is best that we just authentically unscrew ourselves from being screwed.
All right. Let's
This
say.
is how we do it in the plane. We don't get a redo or a do-over test session.
Sure, we
just
do.
go.
Isn't that
figure it
called?
out.
That's called a go around, isn't it?
That's true. There's been a lot of those lately, haven't we seen in the news?
I know. I did.
Oh, boy.
I saw one just a few minutes ago. Someone had posted on the internet of I believe it was Ryanair, did a go around, and they began their turn away from the runway at like 5 feet.
Perfect. So the wing almost scraped?
No, like toward the terminal building. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, they did a good job. So, yeah.
Didn't crash, right? Nailed it.
Well, the recording stopped, so.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't hear about any crashes, so that's good. Hey, so what? I can't remember. Ryanair's European?
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
And they're like a low-cost carrier?
I think.
They're the ones that... They're like, aren't they the ones that mock people on the internet? Like they make fun of their complaints instead of like apologizing. They just tell you to deal with it.
And they keep selling tickets, don't they?
I know exactly. Okay, I know who you're talking about now. I've seen these. It's like, well, maybe you should have paid for your seat if you wanted your seat.
Yeah, my God, listen to you. You're getting a little fired up here. Did you?
No,
did you pay for something you didn't get?
No. So I didn't remember that name as you were talking about it. Like Ryanair, I was like, oh, maybe. But I do know that I used to love watching these like Twitter battles between passengers and an airline. And now I know that's exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, that's it. Well, they did a very low. I mean, a go around is a go around. It's always low, right? Not always. You can do one from 1,000 feet, but this one was at like 5 feet. And then at like 7 feet, they started their turn, which normally is a little early, but yeah, they pulled it off.
Verify something for me. This is purely a rumor. I don't know if we have some Southwest Airlines pilots or crew members on here, but I heard something about go-arounds, gift cards for go-arounds.
I don't know what that means.
It was like, if you have to do a go-around, we will give you both like a $50 like Applebee's gift card or just something to thank you for making the safer decision.
Will the pilots get this as a reward for being safe?
Gift card for go-around. Maybe it was UPS. I can't remember who did it, but I heard it. It was like an initiative program, and maybe somebody at home can write in and tell us. So I just remember hearing wind of this once upon a time.
That's nice, but I heard that if you're on a Delta flight that flips over, you get $30,000.
Oh, as a passenger?
Yeah.
Yeah, the crew's not getting.
I don't know. That seems like a better deal.
I'm talking about as a pilot for making the better decisions. I mean, $30,000 as a passenger to get rolled upside down. I pay to do that at Universal Studios.
There you go. You don't pay that much. Almost, though.
I mean, I have a family of 6 to go to Orlando.
Have you done that?
Hotel and Disney tickets. I don't think we're hitting $30,000, but I know we're in the 5-digit price range to go. It's definitely.
Yeah. So coming up, we've got spring break next week. We're not going anywhere. I'm actually on vacation right now. I mean, unofficially. But I'm taking my daughter to the Mall of America.
Dude.
Just the two of us going to ride roller coasters and buy makeup. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
For 3 days, it'll take you to cover the whole place on foot.
Yep. Cost like $300. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I'm Captain Richard Million. I'm going to try and take the lead on an episode for the first time in the Cats on Guard series.
Take the lead. You're a co-captain. You're always it's always a tie.
We lead together.
Yeah. Well, I am MC Howe, and I will be sitting in the right seat, I guess.
Get your nest set up on the wrong side.
I don't know how.
You're gonna have to use your right hand to reach down for stuff instead of your left.
I'm gonna take a sip of water with my left hand. Watch this.
Boy, did you mute for that sip of water?
I didn't. No, I wanted it to be authentic.
I didn't even have to hear it.
There you go.
Well, hey everybody. One of my favorite topics, because it's been a big part of my aviation life since flight training. This is going to be about general aviation. General aviation to the public might not know what that means, but it's on the signs when you pull into the airport. You're going to go park your car for your flight. They'll say Terminal A or B or Terminal 1 and 2, and then there'll be a sign that says General Aviation. Like, what is that?
I've never gone down there. I only go to where the terminals are. I don't even know.
Okay, so maybe it'll say General Aviation. Maybe the sign will say FBO, Fixed Base Operator.
Yeah, I always thought that was a weird term too. Like,
sounds military.
Do some bases pick up and move?
Are they all bases? They're not a base. It's an airport. It's like
fixed, but like it's not going anywhere. No.
I think it's a military thing. Maybe they had like mobile bases where they could trailer a control tower.
It's all very military, isn't it? Even from the costumes down to the titles and the.
Yeah. So you know what's crazy about little airplane aviation is it started civilian. Like, 2 bicycle mechanics were like, "Let's put some bike chains on these spinning things and make this thing fly."
And it
And they
worked.
did.
Yeah.
And then, like any other cool technology, the military is like, "Oh, we can blow stuff up with this?
Yeah.
We're gonna need that. We're gonna need a lot of this." And they did, right? And, like, the beginning of propeller aviation, or just in aviation in general, was pilots in these little planes with fabric wings, like, covered in with literal fabric, shooting at each other with revolvers. They would shoot revolvers from plane to plane,
Really?
and
Like,
they would carry hand grenades on their person and, like, fly over the trench lines, and they would drop them into the trenches. Like, that's how we started bombing. Somebody double check me on history here, but I'm pretty positive that's the beginning of warfare in aviation.
well, you sound pretty confident, so I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah. But it was all bike tires, bicycle spokes, bicycle cables, bicycle brakes, bicycle chains. I mean, short of the piston engine that was put in there.
Well, yeah, so how long did it last like that? What give me kiss history professor.
2025, and we still have bicycle brake cable and bicycle sprockets and aluminum flight control surfaces, and oh gosh, but don't be scared. General aviation is plenty safe. So general aviation, folks at home who aren't already on the same page as us right now, um, general aviation is for private planes, corporate jets, medevacs, little Cessnas and King Airs and movie stars with their Gulfstreams. And that's, in fact, even during like the presidential campaigns, when the candidates would fly around, they would use these FBOs on the private side of the airport. And even they would bring like a 767. I think I might have sent you a picture of that. It was like,
I think you might have.
it was one of the candidates anyway, and the whole 767 and air stairs, and they loaded everybody and they taxied out past us, and I took a video of it because it was cool.
Yeah. No, that is cool, and I've seen a lot of these famous airplanes in a number of places all over the place too, where I fly, and sometimes you don't know who they belong to. Sometimes they splash their name on the side of it so that everybody knows this is my fancy, expensive jet, but are we talking about, like we're not talking about, like, the 757 that our glorious leader parked on the, ramp at LaGuardia all those years. We're talking about little airplanes, though, right? Like the one
So both.
you took my daughter up flying in a little four-seat airplane one day. We're talking about that. Yeah?
Yeah, that you're talking about the 767 too. I mean, like I said, the same ramp that I was parked there in a large corporate jet. The person next to me was parked there in a 6-seat single engine private airplane for the family, or maybe for his business or her business or who knows what. And then the next one on the line was a 767. You know who else parks there? The
What's that?
military on their fuel stops.
Yeah? Yeah.
So I don't know if you ever had that chance, but I've been parked next to a, I don't know what they called them, squadron or something, of 6 F-18s or 6 Black Hawk helicopters
No
or
kidding.
Huey. Oh, it's so
Wow.
cool because I mean, they got to get from A to B, right? But they got to stop for fuel a few times. Maybe it's getting late. Maybe they're against their duty times, and they need to park somewhere. And it's not an air base, but they'll set up parking and hotel and a rental car. And so much like the passenger terminals, when you're dealing with only 6 or 8 people at a time, or maybe just one person, or maybe 30, you don't have the same setup as the terminal environment. So there's no big rental car counter. There's no food court or baggage claim. At the FBO, there's like a pickup truck or a golf cart that helps get the bags from the plane to the car. Usually it's a little more personalized service. It does cost more.
Yeah. I love the idea of the Joe, redneck coming up in his pickup truck, grabbing, like, everybody's bags. I talked about one time, like, where was it? Tri-Cities Airport in Tennessee, Kentucky, right around the border there, and there's an airport that
Is that
has
Bristol, Tennessee?
yes, that's it. And they have, there's a graveyard right next to the runway.
That's cool. What do you mean, like a person graveyard or
Yeah,
airplane
no,
graveyard?
people,
So
like
if you mess your landing up, they just flip you over the fence
that's
with a
it. They
bulldozer and
just
you're
roll
done?
you over, just roll you right over there. But there's the idea of the Dukes of Hazzard life down there, and Cooter comes along in his pickup truck to pick you up and throw your bags in the back, and he's hauling ass into town on the dirt roads with all your fancy private jet owners. I like that.
Oh man. So that reminds me, probably the most unsafe thing I've done in aviation at this point. It wasn't even at the airport. It was like we we needed to get to a hotel. We were up for like 20 something hours. We were in Mexico where there's no OSHA, or I think we talked about this in an episode. Anyway, some very unsafe things can happen in Mexico, and there's really nobody to like tell you, hey, that's dumb. They just let you do it, like you FAFO, if you know what that means. The guy at the airport says I only have room for three people plus me, the driver. It was a legitimate four-seat car. I don't know why there was no fifth seat in the back, but it was like a miniature pickup truck. And if we wanted to get to the hotel tonight, either one of us would have to be left at the airport and get picked up in 2 hours, or we all had to find our way into this clown car, and that's how we were going to sleep. And
Somebody's got to sit on somebody's lap.
no,
Oh,
wasn't even. It was such a compact car, and with our bags too. Somebody ended up just sitting in the bed of this miniature pickup truck for the 45-minute ride down the Mexican highway, which is completely normal down there. There are people in the back of trucks all over.
yeah. South Florida, too. I used to see that all the time in South Florida. Yep.
Yeah, but for us as like an air crew, like a uniformed air crew, we're like, are
And you
you
know what?
sure?
Everywhere else in America back in the 70s and 80s, too. Just so you know. I mean, regulations are born out of tragedy usually, but it usually takes some stupidity for those regulations to come along.
Could you imagine the call to the chief pilot? Like, hey, we can't leave in the morning because John's in the hospital. Well, why is John in the hospital? So you're not going to believe this, but the car you set up for us. Well, anyway, so this general aviation thing. Um, when we all started flight lessons, you may or may not see, oh, you'll probably see an FBO in your flight lessons, unless you're at a huge super school where you never need to stop anywhere else ever.
Yeah. I don't recommend that. I think it's important to get out and see these places and meet these people and talk to these people.
Yeah, I think for the private pilot license, that's your first license you'll get. Like when you take lessons in a Cessna or a Piper, you're gonna have to stop somewhere for fuel on your long cross country, I think. Or maybe not for fuel, but you will have to land somewhere. Highly recommend going to the local FBO ramp. And even if you're on a discovery flight, ask if you can stop, like make a stop somewhere. So you land at like this other airport, you roll off the runway, you go to the private or general aviation side, which most people that have ridden in airplanes have not been to the general aviation ramp, not a tarmac, a ramp, taxiway, paved area, anything but the word tarmac. But I digress.
Or Macadam.
See, well, we go over to the general aviation ramp, and there'll be an employee with some red wands, the wands you always
I
see
thought you
about in the
said red
news.
wine.
No, well, there's that too in a lot of FBOs, but the wanding, right, where they wave you in, they have the sticks, and then they give you the big cross stick sign, tell you to stop, set your brake.
Can I stop you there for a moment?
The air traffic controllers, is that where we're
Well,
going?
no, it's these guys with the sticks. In my career as a professional aviator, I have parked thousands of times. And I don't think there has ever been one single uniform direction given by any of these guys with the sticks. Like, I always get the general idea of what they're saying, but I don't know how many times it's like, I don't know what he's trying to signal me now.
Yeah,
Is there a
this
stick
like
school that any of
there
these
is
guys?
a it's in the manual. It's in the aeronautical information manual, like all the standard. What's standard? But you're expecting hundreds of thousands of people worldwide who get this job and then quit or don't, or they've had the job for so long they made up their own signals now.
So,
So you know
yeah,
what I like the best though is like it's one of those things, like one of those crazy pictures you look at where the longer you look, the worse it gets.
yes, yes.
Right. So if you just glance at it and like, oh, he's putting the two sticks in the air, cool. And you just do your thing, right? But then if you look closer, like, well, he's nudging the two sticks parallel. And does that mean something, or is that his wrist twitching? Does he want me to turn? And then if you look at the wing walkers, they're doing stuff too. And you're like, does what they're doing mean something? Or what will they do when it's like, hey, stop? Like, are they
Yeah.
gonna wave
Well,
panically?
there are certain movements, like for a tailpipe fire, for instance, right? Now, I know it exists. I'll be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but does the guy that needs to make the movement know what it is?
I was mid-engine start yesterday. I'm no, sorry. One was already spinning and the other was in the start process. And I got the signal from the wand guy. Go ahead and start your engine.
I like
I'm
that.
like, bro, we are 70% of the way through 2 engine starts.
Yeah, I like that. Or how about the one that's he's pushing a bit, and we are on headsets, so we talk to these people from the ground, and will be pushing us back, and it's usually you stop the plane, you can feel it stop. Okay, you're clear to set the parking brake. How many times have you been pushing back? You're still moving. Okay, you're good to set the parking brake.
It's robotic
Oh
for
my
them, but it's
god.
not logical. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's where humans have to come in and intercept like each other's human factors, right? Like we go through hours and hours of training every year on human factors and how to make these errors not happen. And every one of these news stories you're seeing lately, except for the fatal ones, where like a human factor stepped in and stopped that.
right.
And one of the downsides to general aviation, I don't want to scare everybody at home from getting a flight lesson, is like you're by yourself usually as the pilot of the airplane,
That's
and there
true.
is no co-pilot, if you will,
That's right.
co-captain.
Well, and, I don't know why I have this sense, and I do. I feel like that the guys out there running the ramp at these FBOs might be a little bit more, I don't know, more reliable, better at their job than some of these airline rampers. Cause like you said, they come and go. It's a crap job. They're out there in every kind of weather, tossing heavy equipment all season long. They got to deal with airport parking, airport security. They're making at best
Grumpy old captains.
grumpy old captains. They're not getting great pay for this, and a lot of these airlines anymore are hiring outside companies to do this, so they're not even getting the airline benefits. So I feel like maybe the people at the FBO, I don't know, maybe they got a little more motivation. I don't know.
The FBO would have lack of monotony. It's not the same old thing every time. Every time the FBO sees a plane, it's got a wildly different wingspan, so it needs different parking instructions.
Yeah,
It's got a different performance factor for like whether or not they can park on a hill, or where they're jet if they have jet blast or not. If it's a little prop plane, it doesn't matter if you park it right up against the building, but if you can't put the jet there because it'll blow the doors off the building when they start
my
engines,
God,
right?
can you imagine that?
A lot of factors to the FBO ramp people. So yeah, I think they do have the more critical wand waving to do. But anyway,
Yeah,
I digress. Let's go back. Let's go back to the flight lesson you take and you land somewhere. So it's really cool. You get into Cessna. You got a flight instructor with you probably because you don't have a license yet, or you're with somebody who has a license and they're taking you flying somewhere. So you get in your 4-seat plane like your daughter and you did, and you go to this airport and you land. And what is an FBO to the general public that's never seen it? It is just like a center for business. It's like a miniature version of your terminal. You have rental cars, you have a lounge seating area, bathrooms, a coffee, usually a coffee machine.
you gotta have
There's
a
usually a
coffee
conference
machine.
room. Oh, there's some nice coffee machines these days. I had freshly ground coffee the other day from an FBO.
Oh
Anyway,
my God.
but yeah, so you walk in, right? And usually these places, how they make their money is they sell you gas
Wait,
or
will there
they
be
sell
donuts?
this. I've had donuts at
There better
FBOs.
be donuts.
Okay, so we find the FBO that has donuts,
That's where
but
we're going.
these businesses make their money selling parking, handling services, and fuel.
Okay.
So plane lands, they either need to park for a couple of days, they don't need gas, they get charged for that. Or in most cases, you can buy gas in exchange for parking fees.
Hmm. That's
Like, hey,
curious.
yeah, there's like a minimum amount per airplane, and we do this a lot with my airplane because we don't need to carry much fuel around, but the parking fees are insane for big corporate jets, like 1,500 a day
Oh,
sometimes.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to park, but they're like, hey, if you buy 600 gallons of fuel, which we need anyway to leave.
And that's gonna cost a lot more than $1,500.
It is, but we would so would fuel anywhere.
Right, because fuel's anywhere from 250 to 3 something per gallon
I mean, I've
for
seen it
jet
five
fuel.
and right now, yeah. I mean, if you have a contracted rate, that's a whole nother topic on the finance episode we
You're
have coming
talking
up.
600 gallons of fuel. I'm just gonna run a little, keep talking because 'cause I'm
Sure.
pulling up
Are
my
you
calculator.
mathing? Oh, he's
I'm
mathing.
I'm mathing. I have a machine to do the math, but I,
So you would have had to buy fuel anyway. By buying the fuel, you end up like technically saving money, if you will. Like then,
actually, I realized I didn't need a machine for this. 600 gallons at $3. That's 1,800 bucks.
okay, so I could spend 1,500 bucks and get no gas, or I can spend 1,800, get lots of gas, and not have to pay for parking at that a factor of 300 more.
$300.
They make it worth your while to have them. They move the gas, they get their sale, you parked on the ramp. So anyway, so you get out. Okay, in your Cessna, it's a different story. It's like 20 gallons of gas, and it's like $7 a gallon for gas or something, depending on what airport where you live. Every aviation gasoline, so for piston engines, is pretty much double jet fuel.
Yeah, and it's really not that much different from the stuff you put in your car, is it? It's a little bit higher
100
oct
octane, but it has a lead content, which we don't do in cars.
You're right, that's true. So, you wouldn't wanna go to your, local Shell station and fill up, a 5-gallon can and then put it in your airplane.
All right, so we can go into the details of why not leaded or unleaded versus leaded and octane ratings. Let's do that in a performance and mechanical engineering episode.
Yes, Captain.
Oh my gosh, no, because like we can go on for hours about like internal
I know.
combustion engines and why they have lead in these 1950s technology that we still use.
You can go on for hours. I'll be going, "Oh, really? I didn't know that."
You call me a dork?
No, I'm calling you much more knowledgeable about some things.
See, that's oh my gosh. So anyone that knows me personally, that's so funny that you say that because they're like, "You don't know much about stuff." Like, I'm kind of like a dumb person when it comes to general knowledge, but I have these little tidbits about everything.
Okay. Okay.
But I don't really know a lot about like, outside of aviation, right? Because we do
But
this for a living.
but see, when you let those little tidbits out a little bit at a time and people aren't expecting it, it's very impressive.
Cool. Well, I appreciate that. Thank
Sure.
you. It's a
Sure.
little pat on the back for me
Well done.
emotionally, yeah.
Well done.
Wish that my teachers in high school would have felt that way about my knowledge. They were just like, "Are you hungover at?" "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." Hey, so you order your 20 gallons of aviation fuel and you want that'll waive your parking fee. So you buy your gas while you're there. Well, it's going to take them a little bit to get the gas to the truck, to the plane, pump it in the plane. So you go, hey, you have a crew car. Hey, what's a crew car? Right? Crew cars are at like most FBOs. It's pretty awesome. So usually they have a 2 to 3 hour limit. Um, you sign it out with the driver's license, and then it's like the airport it's like a rental car, but you're not leaving with it. You're just going to get food or grabbing some supplies from Walmart or who knows what. So you get the keys, you and your
Hey, wait a minute.
passengers.
What if
Yeah.
there are 4 other airplanes on a and they all want a
They
crew
might be
car?
gone and you might have to Uber,
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
but you always ask, right? Because that's the cheapest option.
For
You get
sure.
the crew car, you get on your Google or you ask the person behind the counter, where's a good spot to get lunch while you're getting the gas in the plane? Oh, you got to go down to Johnny's. Go down across 2 lights, take a right, you'll get Johnny's. Okay, we'll go to Johnny's. And so you go have a meal and you come back and there's no security when you come back. You just like park
Oh, I
outside.
like I like that part.
Well, the rules are different. You're not transporting hundreds of people in a big terminal with giant airplanes. And so the rules are different for security, at least in the US, that are not I can't speak
Yeah.
for Europe. But yeah, you just walk back in, you've had your meal, maybe you picked up a little local trinket of some sort from wherever you are. Last time I landed a little airplane, it was in Frankfort, Kentucky, which is home to Buffalo Trace Distillery. Kentucky has like the Bourbon Trail or whatever that people like to do. And anyway, so we landed, order fuel, crew car, grab a nice bottle of something from the distillery, back, fuels in the plane, we leave, right? And we were on the ground for like an hour tops. It's so cool. I mean, I love general aviation. You just pop into anywhere with a little airport. And, like I said, hopefully there's crew car, hopefully there's Uber. You can go out of town. It's like parking your car, but you just got there a ton faster.
That's true. Yeah, because I was thinking about this trip I'm gonna take with my daughter, and I'm traveling as a passenger, not as a crew member, so I'll be out of uniform. I'm not going through the crew line because she can't go through the crew line. So I'm trying to put all
You're just a
this
schmo.
I'm trying to well, like we did on the last one where you gotta back up the time and say, "Okay, to get there at this time, I gotta leave home by this, I gotta get there that, I gotta go how long is the security line gonna be? Plus, it's spring break, so it's gonna be extra long, but then we're going to Minnesota. Who the hell is gonna go to Minnesota for spring break? Probably nobody, but maybe they're
Fair
coming
assessment.
back from spring break to go back home to Minnesota." So, I'm stressing out about all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, maybe I should just hire a private plane and fly her up there that way.
you know, I think where you live, actually, yeah. So the flying club I was in was where you live.
Yeah, would you fly us up to Minnesota on Monday morning?
No, but for your future trips and use, and as your destinations and family trip, I really think you would benefit from that. Like, I know
Yeah.
you don't have any interest in getting back into it. I just the things I've done with these little airplanes, I think you maybe. Oh, I mean, yeah, you could tell me if I'm going out the wrong trail, but I think you could have so much fun with that with you
And
and your
I
family.
could fly a, small plane like the one you brought us down here. I could fly that to Minnesota and park that for a couple days up at the
You
airport.
can absolutely,
Oh,
and
wow.
like just nonstop. Okay, maybe you'll stop because like the kids want to go to the bathroom, or you want to get like okay, so say you're going from Pennsylvania to Minnesota for your
Sure.
trip.
Sure.
You could be like, hey, we're not going to do this nonstop in a little airplane because you can only really go like 4 or 5 hours on a little airplane at a
Mhm.
time. But you can't even do that in a car without stopping for
That's
like a
right.
potty break, right? So we're like, yeah, what's a good potty break stop from West Pennsylvania to? Oh, you know what? Let's get Italian beef sandwiches in Chicago or a Chicago deep dish pizza in Chicago. So then you plan your flight to make your gas stop in somewhere cool.
That's cool.
Like when I flew from Hartford, Connecticut to northern Michigan in a little plane with my family, and I was like, where are we going to stop? And I remembered Niagara Falls Airport has a crew car with third row seating, and I have too many kids for a regular car. So um, third row seating in a crew car is pretty rare, but
Yeah.
I knew they had that in the crew car. So I was like, we're going to stop for guests at the Niagara Falls Airport. I'm going to take my family to the home of the Buffalo Wing in Buffalo.
That's the home of the wing.
So Anchor Bar. Anchor
That's
Bar is the home
that's
of,
where it's
yeah.
from.
So,
Okay.
yep. Their story there is that mom and dad had a restaurant bar, and the teenager 20 something sons or somebody was hungry late at night with their friends at the restaurant, and they used the scraps from the chicken to fry these up. Here, you eat the scraps, and then they covered it in the sauce. It was now known as buffalo sauce or seasons and spices, and that happened at Anchor Bar in Buffalo.
You know what would happen if I took my kids there?
What would they do? Eat chicken
They
fingers?
they would want chicken fingers or
Which
macaroni. Yeah.
we could dip it. Yeah, they have both.
No, they wouldn't dip it. They wouldn't dip it. They would no. No, no. No buffalo, nothing. Just straight nuggets.
So your kids are the connoisseurs of chicken fingers?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. My wife is the connoisseur of chicken Caesar salad.
Oh, that's a pretty good deal.
We've traveled to the world's finest locations. No, not we haven't left North America, but I digress. Hawaii. Ooh, we're in Hawaii. You know what we should
That's not
try?
in North America. You have left North America.
That's not. That's like it's a 50
I
state from the
mean, there's
US. I
no
don't know.
bridge.
Fine. Okay. Seattle, San Francisco, San Diego, Miami, Vermont. She has tried the chicken Caesar salad everywhere.
That's her thing.
She's the connoisseur of chicken Caesar salads. Yeah.
Some people collect shot glasses. She collects chicken Caesars.
Some people would say that if you're in Maryland, you should get crab.
Hmm.
And if you were in Wisconsin, you should get cheese. So you land your little airplane here in, say, Maryland, and you just go get some food. They fuel the airplane up. You get back in, then you fly home. Like you can do that.
Yeah, sure.
There's the flight plan. Okay, people go, well, do you have to do a flight plan? So, oh, this is an interesting topic because for little airplanes or privately flown airplanes that are not airliners, you can fly under. I think we've talked about this in other episodes, but VFR versus IFR, and visual flight rules. You don't need a flight plan, but but yeah. So these little airplanes, I'm so big on this because I've been doing this for like over I don't know my entire. I never really well, I did stop for a little bit. I don't know if I told you about this. It's like
I don't know.
flying got me burned out, like flying professionally, where I was just like, oh, I'm always going. I used to love this, like it was a passion. It's still a passion, but there was a few years where I'm like, I only go where they tell me to go when they tell me to go there, and it just became monotonous. And I think my kids were like 3 and 1 or 3 and newborn. I had 2 kids at the time, and I said, I got to get this passion back. I want to go somewhere that I want to go when I decide to go, and I'm not doing it for somebody else, like
And
to
you're
make
and you're
money.
paying for it yourself too.
Oh, of course you're paying for it, yes, but honestly, I've beaten the airlines in pricing
Those
sometimes
buffalo
because
wings can't be cheap when gas is $7 a gallon.
honestly, what do we have? One, two, three, four. So we had four passengers plus a lap child at the time, and 5 tickets to Hartford, Connecticut from where we were would have been about the same price, honestly, because there's not a ton of direct flights to Hartford from everywhere. We don't have to drive 3 hours to the airport that goes direct to Hartford, or drive 2 hours and go through this whole, this with kids, security, gate, parking, shuttles, train, like the shuttle train between terminals. That's a nightmare with strollers and baby bags. But you know what this one was? We pulled up to the airport, said, everybody get in a seat. And I put the bags in the back and I did my checklist. And everyone had their iPad or their scribbled doodle sketch, what are those things? Etch a sketch or
Sketchadoodles. Yep.
yeah, etch a sketch. They
Okay.
make those again. They're making them again.
Now
Anyway.
who's dating who?
So they get in. I have obviously done my flight planning while they weren't paying attention the hour or two prior. So there was not much to do once we arrived to the airport. We shut the door to the plane. I started the engine and off we went to Hartford.
Well, that sounds pretty
Yeah, we,
easy.
we just like landed and my cousin was having like, it was like a family reunion and they were like, oh, what time's your flight land? It's like, I'll text you, but half an hour out, come to the airport. And sure enough, I did. I said, I texted them, come outside. I'm going to buzz the house.
Fun.
So I made sure they knew I was coming. And then I continued to turn after I passed their house and I went to the airport and landed. They drove two cars out because of the car seats and my kids. Anyway, but they just came and got me from the airport. I didn't take an Uber or anything. Then the plane, you just tie it down to the ground. They have these loops in the ground where you can tie the planes up so they don't roll away in the wind or anything because they are small. They actually can move in the wind. But yeah, using little airplanes for stuff is just so much fun to me, and it didn't ruin. Sorry, it canceled out the burnout I had of doing bus driver with wings.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, have you done anything cool with little airplanes?
No, not since my training
Never.
days. No.
But you did stuff when you were training.
Yeah, but it was always in the guise of instructing. I can't think of a time. One time, my brother had come down, and even this I still consider as instructing because I wrote as up as instruction. Um, my brother came down to visit, and I took my nephew up. He was like 10 years old, and he was scared to death. I remember that, and honestly, that's about it. Because I always looked at it as this is a necessary stepping stone to get me to the airlines, which is where I wanted to be. And so I didn't ever look at it as the enjoyable thing that you do. And I guess maybe I'm a little sad about that because you make it sound a lot more fun.
There's still time. You
I
still
know.
got so, and you can. You know what? That's really cool. I think we talked in another episode about how you have to stop flying for the airlines at 65. You can you can use like a lesser level of medical certificate and fly with your family until you're like dead. But you hope that time doesn't intersect with the flight because your family's got to be there.
No, no, no. Speaking of dead, you're okay. I'm going to tell you this story. This was, I did this in the course of my job, but back when I was a flight instructor, I had a student come into she was this British chick who was learning she wanted to get her private pilot license. So um, she was there. I'm going to leave out a lot of deals. I'm going to save this for the day we do our flight instructing stories.
Ooh, flight instructor episode. I love that.
Yeah.
Give me the clip notes though. I want to hear
Okay.
this.
Cliff Notes is she was the mistress of one of the first internet billionaires who started a long ago internet dating site.
Is
And
this the yacht helicopter?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We
I,
talked about
we
this.
talked about this, but that episode never aired.
It didn't.
No,
Oh no.
because we were terrible and the quality of the recording sucked. So I'm going to retell it. So she was dating this guy. He was in town because he was so rich. He bought himself an old retired naval battleship, a British Royal battleship to live on so he could stay offshore and avoid paying taxes. Well, now he needs a helicopter to get back and forth. So he's having his helicopter built and she's learning to fly with me. And when the helicopter was ready, he was there with her. He was there with his yacht captain or his battle captain, I guess it was, and his helicopter pilot, and they were all learning to fly different kinds of aircraft at the time, airplanes, helicopters. So the helicopter is ready for a flight test. So his flight test is we're going to fly this helicopter down to Key West. And he says, "Let's take some little warriors." So I get the girlfriend in my airplane. We get his yacht captain in another airplane with a different instructor, and then he's off in the lead with his helicopter
I'm
instructor.
sorry. Hold on, there's a fleet of
There's a
planes.
fleet. There's a fleet. It's a helicopter and two. It's a, I believe it's a Hughes 500. If anybody
Oh,
knows
that's
about
sick.
helicopters, and so it's the Hughes 500, and then two Piper Warriors on either side. And he said, "We're going to fly down in formation."
Oh,
And I said,
cool.
"Well," I looked at the other flight instructor who I worked with. I said, "Do you know how to fly in formation?" He goes, "No." Okay, well, here we go.
I see. It was a
Yeah,
flight lesson for the flight
it
instructor.
was. So, and it was really cool. We stayed down about 1,000 feet, and we followed. And this was a VFR flight, which is interesting when you fly along the Keys from South Florida because it's not a straight line; they curve. And when you're watching the helicopter in 100 feet in front of you, and the Warrior 100 feet to the left of you, and you're really just trying not to hit either one of those things.
Okay. I'm trying to visualize this. So the helicopter was the lead of a triangle formation.
Yes,
Doesn't the helicopter make air go down, like where your
I
wings
have no
are?
idea how a helicopter works. They're the
I'm
scariest
surprised you
things.
survived this.
Well, that's the end of the story.
You did
Before
survive. You're here talking
I
about it, so you
survived. Yeah,
survived.
well,
Yes.
no, we all survived that day. No, we got down to Key West, and we went out and we ate where the cruise ships dock, and the
Yeah,
big
yeah, yeah. The
the
west
big
southwest
famous
side.
sunset place where everybody goes out to watch the sun. Well, it's daylight, so we're eating these fish sandwiches on the dock, and we come out of there. And there's a little area here where these little two-man speedboats, and the rich guy looks at these speedboats. He goes, "Oh, those look fun. How much?" And he goes, "Oh, they're $600 an hour." And he looks at the group and he goes, "Okay, we'll take 6 of them."
Wait, I'm sorry. So that already the airplane part of this costed a few $1,000s to get
No
to.
idea. Yeah. Mhm.
And then when you got there and food, this dude was just throwing money out like it
Just
was
throwing money.
coupons,
Just throwing money
monopoly
like
money.
yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we were out there. I don't know how long we were out there for hours just tooling around in these
So
boats.
cool. So you got one too, just for being part of the group.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
that's a. See, you did do cool stuff with general
I
aviation.
did, but I didn't think about it because I was being paid for it. It
No,
wasn't
that's
just like this wasn't my idea. It was just fun stuff. And this guy was in town for like 3 weeks and because he was all money. So the flight school was like, "This is your 3 weeks. You do whatever these people want." Yeah, they spent a day out deep sea fishing and doing oh,
so you
yeah.
got speedboats, food, and airplane flight down through the Keys.
Mhm.
Being
Mhm.
involved with general aviation. Those are three really cool things. So you
Yeah.
don't even
Yeah.
give it credit for what
I'm
it's due.
sorry. Yeah.
No, like that was a great general aviation accomplishment that happened because you were in the general aviation scene. Flight instructors are and flight schools are general aviation folks at home.
Yes. Yes, they are. So I take it back.
Lessons private, so yeah, the same place you get lessons at and get your license, you can probably rent it privately after the fact if you don't own your own plane, which a lot of most people do. So say you're at home, I don't know, let's see, the listener, anonymous listener number 123 has a wife and one kid and is interested in flying lessons, and that person goes out and gets flying lessons, right? Okay, anonymous listener 123. Once you get your license, you can go to the same school and be like, "Hey, can I book the plane on Saturday for the day?" And they go, "Yeah, you just got to let us know where you're going and when you'll be back, right? Because they want to know when their plane can go on another lesson or whatever." And you pay and you
Sure.
go fly and you take your wife and kid to whatever, a theme park, a baseball game. Okay, so here, a baseball game. I'm a hockey guy. There was a playoff hockey game in Pittsburgh. But here's the problem. My wife doesn't get out of work till 4:30 p.m. and the hockey game starts at 7. You can't get on a flight to Pittsburgh. Oh, the flight only leaves at 7:30 at night. Well, then I'm going to miss the hockey game, right? Nuh-uh. We got a little airplane. General Aviation comes to the rescue. At 4:30 p.m., she is out of work. I already have the kids sitting in the plane. I have my tickets to the Pittsburgh playoff hockey game, and we got in the plane and we landed in it was the Allegheny County Airport, so not big Pittsburgh like that everyone lands at with the airlines, but there's a little airport, kind of like how do I describe? You probably, if you look on your maps, on your Google Maps at home, there's probably a small general aviation airport that's not your big airport in most areas.
Like your Dukes of Hazzard Airport with the graveyard?
It was a little bigger than that, but yeah, it was medium sized.
Okay.
Anyway, so I landed at Allegheny Airport because it's a little closer to downtown than Big Pittsburgh,
Okay.
and we get from that to an Uber. an Uber to the arena, and we are walking in the arena as the national anthem is wrapping up. There's an airport in Cleveland that most people don't know about, the Burke Lakefront Airport.
I know about that one.
You do. So there's like big Cleveland where you get on your flight to Florida, right? But then there's also this little runway that's like built on like almost an island on the lake. And you're landing, I don't know, a couple hundred yards from the skyscrapers of the big city. Chicago used to have one, sore subject, till that D bag of a mayor
Oh, let's
ripped it
get
up
into
in the middle of the night.
politics. Let's do
Yes.
that.
Well, it's not just because I said mayor. It doesn't mean anybody destroys a runway is a bad
No, it's
person.
because you
We
said
love airplanes.
D-bag.
Oh, is it? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't even know what his politics were. I just know he ruined a runway
I
that
don't
I
even
liked.
know who it was or when it happened.
Mayor Daley in
Oh, all
Chicago.
right.
Um,
Now we're getting into it.
no, I don't. I honestly don't know what his political designation is. I just know that he ruined a runway like without going through the due process of closing an airport. There were planes stranded on that airport for like they had to take off on a taxiway to get out of there because the dude sent bulldozers in the middle of the night and ripped up the runway when everyone was sleeping. And people woke up and like, I can't get my plane out of this airport. You just stranded me here. And they're like, oh, just take off on a taxiway. Oh, suddenly that's okay.
I've done it. I've actually
You've taken
landed on it. Yeah. Oakland, California, they were redoing the runway and they designated the taxiway as the temporary runway.
what kind of airplane?
Airbus.
No
Yep.
way.
Yep.
No, that's a big airplane to land on a taxiway.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
wild.
Yep.
It had the weight bearing capacity to accept landings.
We survived.
Oh, yeah, I know, but oh my, that is such a cool, unique thing. I wonder how many people have been able to do that. Like when people say I landed on a taxiway, they're going a helicopter or a Cessna. Like, no, you took a full on
Or you're
airliner
just a
into a.
normal Delta pilot in the course of your day
Did that happen?
all the time.
I don't remember that.
You know how they say that they're the best, they're the elite when you walk through this door. Only the elite walk through this door. They have that painted over. Yeah, they are. They are the best at landing on taxiways.
Okay. Well, um, the speed of the little airplanes isn't like a jet, right? Like, but it's the convenience and the timing of it that makes it faster than the airlines. So I told you about Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And if so, because of the timing, if we had to wait for the flight, like we'd have to show up at 3 to security for an hour, and then at the gate, the boarding's 40 minutes, and then the flight happens and it's 35, whatever, an hour to get to Pittsburgh, and then the taxi and the deplaning, waiting for 80, what are those 35 rows of people to get out of the plane,
Yeah.
waiting at
I
baggage
don't
claim, the
think,
rental car counter.
I think that most people don't consider all of those other factors. They look at the flight, they say, oh, it's an hour flight. That's so much quicker
It's four
than,
and a half hours of your time.
what'd you say, 2.5 hours, 2 hours in your little plane? Say,
Yeah, so
I
I
would
do
of
door to
course
door time.
I would much rather do a 1 hour flight than a 2 hour flight, but you're not considering all the other time sitting around the airport, going through security, waiting to deplane, getting your bags.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what was really cool? You could take whatever drink you want into the little airplane.
Hmm.
I flew to a wedding in Tennessee. It was one of the best weddings I ever been to. Um, I flew down there with my wife, just the adults. And on the way back, we were supposed to take a friend of mine, but he had a little too much fun at the wedding
Oh,
and wasn't going to get in the airplane.
no.
Smart of him, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But there was two other another couple, friends of friends. I'd actually never met them till the wedding, but they're friends of my mutual friends because it's a wedding, right? Everybody knows the bride and groom somehow. And they were supposed to fly home on an airline flight that was getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And the mutual friends were like, "Hey, we know this couple. They have a little airplane. They're flying back to the same place you're flying back to, but like 20 miles down the road, right? Because they're going to big airport, and I'm going to little airplane airport. They could just Uber from there." So I get a text message. Hey, it's Jason. So do you think you can give us a ride because we're kind of stranded?
Did he text in that cadence? Did
It
you
was
just
very
read it?
shy. It was very shy. I don't know. I was trying to duplicate the shyness of it because I mean it's weird. Like, hey, we're both pilots. I don't know you. You don't know me. We both have a guest. They don't know each other. Do
Yeah.
you want to spend 4 hours on a plane together? Like in a little confined space. It was very awkward initially,
But
but
that's
the
what we
ladies.
do. That's what we do at work anyway.
We do, and he does that too. He was at a regional airline at the time. I had previously flown cargo, so my threshold for turbulence and weather and such was a lot lower than his threshold of comfort. The other weird part is like the wife compatibility. Like, you ever stick your lady with a lady that like, here, be friends. Like, they don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. Well, anyway, they hit it off like immediately. Hey, it looks like we'll be hanging out together in the back of a plane for 3.5 hours. Um, so on the way to the airport, they're like, pull over. We got to get some snacks and drinks for the flight, right? We don't have TSA. You just bring whatever you want. You can bring a boombox. We don't care. Play your guitar, do whatever you want back there. What did they bring? Mimosas.
Nice.
They were boozing it up, the two
The
ladies, the whole
ladies.
way back.
So to be clear, you pilots were clean and sober
Well, I mean, we did have a pretty awesome wedding the night before, but
the
the
night
day of
before.
operation, we were legal and
8 hours
safe to
bottle to
fly.
throttle, right?
A little more than that. We actually, yeah, we I think we went 10 and a half or so.
Okay,
If
very
we
smart.
did the math. Yeah. We didn't feel perfect, but we certainly were safe. So the two of us are flying our wives back. Um, the ladies are boozing it up in the back. They're having a blast. We beat the airlines door to door.
Bet you did.
And that's the math that we do. But the only downside to that was like after all their mimosas, they're like, we have to pay. Like, well, we don't have a bathroom in here. So we're like looking on the map. We're like, where's an airport with a bathroom that's open on this Sunday at 4 p.m. or whatever it was? Like, we found one, and then I just dove for it because we have to go like really bad. You know, it was like
It's just
crazy to
like your
have all those
kids, right?
mimosas.
It's like asking your kid, "Do you have to go?" "I don't have to go. I don't have to go. I
No.
don't have to. I have to go so bad."
As soon as you leave the driveway, right?
Yeah.
Like a mile from the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we ended up dropping into this airport. Everybody uses the bathroom. Like, maybe if you didn't have so many mimosas on the way back. Um, yeah, but it was a great time, and it was like I got to share general aviation with one. They're still friends like to this day.
Well, that's nice.
Well, I mean, like you're gonna be right because you spent that much time in a confined space together.
Yeah.
But two, like they would not have been able to do a trip like that otherwise,
Well, that is good fun. That is a
isn't
good
it?
that's a good life lesson. So any of you wanna be pilots out there or are pilots, and unlike me, go out there and live a little.
Fly
Have
to a
some
wedding.
fun. Yeah.
I flew to a wedding in Marquette, Michigan, where the plane, you said it was expensive gas. The plane was cheaper for us to fly to Marquette than it was to buy tickets to Marquette,
Sure, I bet.
Michigan,
Why
because
would
it's like
anybody fly to Marquette? I don't even know where
there's a
that
whole
is.
college there. It's in the
There is?
northern Upper
Not a half a
Peninsula.
college?
It's on Lake Superior, I
Jeez.
think, right? Lake Superior?
That's in Northern Michigan, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. But yeah, we flew up there, a little airplane. Actually, that was a funny one. So we flew up there, and I set this. You remember I said I'm OCD about my packing and prepping?
Yes.
Like keys sit next to the
Yes.
wallet, sit next to the
Yes.
coffee.
Yes.
When I packed the car, I said everything I need to take to this wedding will be in the trunk of this car. Flight bag, suitcase, backpack, water bottle, snacks, is all every. So when I get to the airport, everything comes out of this trunk and goes into that plane. And then like a half an hour goes by, and I was like, oh, I forgot to put my suit in the car. So I walk to the car. Right? I'm no longer in my OCD mode. I hang the suit, like, what do you call those, wardrobe bags,
Yep.
on the coat hanger. Well, there's no coat hanger in a trunk ever. Where's the coat hanger in your car?
It's in the main area.
Yeah, it's like the back seat window area,
In the
right? So I
main
hook it on
cabin.
the main cabin of the vehicle. So I hook it up, right? No big deal. Then we go to the airport the next morning or whatever, and I load everything from the trunk into the plane because that's what I said I would do,
Is there
like
a
a robot.
hanger? Is there a hanger in your plane for your suit bag?
No, I was going to lay it over the back seat.
See, who came up with the idea that we needed a suit hanger in a car?
There's
Of
some
all the
people.
things, of all the places that you need a suit, well, aren't business? Yeah, I guess. Usually they're just wearing them, but why not?
Sometimes there's a second
You know
change of
what?
them.
Here, here's a moneymaker for you. Come up with the suit hanger for the airplane. Just the little thing that you just screw in. It's adaptable to every airplane. You
General
invent that?
aviation.
Yeah, you invent that, you're rich.
I don't know if there's enough top to bottom height to hang a suit bag in those planes, period.
Can't be any worse than a car, can it?
Well, you sat in one just a few months ago,
They're pretty tiny.
3.5 feet top to bottom.
Yeah, you're better off getting your jet. Take your private
So,
jet.
yeah. But hey, so we get to Marquette, Michigan for this wedding. The night before the wedding, we're there at like 8 or 9 at night. It's dark out. Then I'm loading the rental car, and my wife goes, "Where's your suit?"
Where, where's your
Mr.
suit?
Organized,
It's
Mr.
hanging in
I
the
packed
car.
everything
Still
perfectly
hanging
in
in
the
the car.
trunk. Of course it is, because what did I say? Everything that goes in the plane will be in the trunk. And guess what wasn't in the trunk?
Suit. Suit
It was
wasn't in the
it.
truck.
Oh my! So like 7 a.m. the morning of, I'm at Kohl's knocking the door down in Marquette, Michigan. Somebody open this thing. I need a suit. I got a wedding in 2 hours.
Jeez.
That was one of those like morning, midday, whatever brunch weddings.
Ugh.
So, but hey, I totally encourage this. Get into general aviation. Go get a discovery flight. Go do some lessons. You don't even need to have a license to go fly a little airplane. You can pay the flight instructor, like what MC Howe was doing when he went to Key West.
That's right.
If you got that kind of money, just pay to have a licensed pilot be there and supervising you flying to these
If
cool
you
places.
but if you do that, you have to buy me lunch and the little speedboat too.
I'm pretty sure if you've got money to rent a plane for a day, it's implied you could get lunch for the
Yeah.
day
Yeah.
or girl. Um, you have come on, you got to have something else with a little airplane that was like exciting or fun.
You know, I used to fly around the Bahamas a lot. I used to
What kind of airplane?
uh Piper Chieftain.
That's it. That's general aviation. You
Yeah.
didn't pull up to a jetway, did you?
No.
No, then you're general aviation. Tell
Well,
me
how do
what
you
cool
like
stuff
hot
happened.
damn. Hot damn. Um all right, let me think about this. Oh, one of the cool things I used to do is I used to fly to Bimini, which is, if you're familiar with the Bahamas, is the first island closest to Miami. It's about 45 miles from Miami. And it's said that you can see, and I never saw it, but after I learned that it was there, a pilot flying over noticed what appeared to be a road under the water. And he surmised that this road led to the lost continent of Atlantis. So if if you go to the Bahamas, you can find your way to Atlantis, first stop Bimini. But what you'll also find there are a lot of sharks because the water is super shallow. It is crystal clear. It is the most beautiful water on the planet, in my opinion. And you will see sharks cruising around the island. So that's a lot of fun. I'm trying to think of a time I had a student who was a lawyer. Guy used to argue like a lawyer. I would try to teach, teach about altimeter settings. So this altimeter setting changes as air pressure changes. We have to adjust a dial to accommodate these changes in pressure. And above a certain altitude, 18,000 feet, every airliner, every airplane that flies above 18,000 feet has to set the altimeter setting to the same number in your little thing, which is 29.92. And we can get into all the details of why those numbers and what they mean. But for the course of this conversation, 2992 at 18,000 feet. Well, I'm talking to this lawyer one day, and he's arguing with me about this. Well, when you go above 2992, above 18,000 feet, then the pressure is going to change and you're going to be above it. So then you have to change. And if the pressure changes when you go below 2992, so when you go below 2992, then you're not at 18,000 feet and you have to rechange it. And he's just being a lawyer about the whole thing. I finally looked at the guy. I said, look, man, you're flying a Piper Warrior. You're not going to 18,000 feet in this thing. So this guy was a pain in the ass every time I flew with him.
My gosh.
Well, years later, I'm working in this charter airliner and he charters the airplane.
No, you see this guy again?
Yeah, I have to go out to this island to pick him up and his family. So I fly out empty and I make myself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to eat on the way. And I just have it sitting in the co pilot seat to my right as I'm flying alone in the airplane out to pick them up. And yeah, I pick him up and he's all excited to see me. It's been a few years. Well, I want to sit because he's got his pilot license now because I trained him. I want to sit in the right seat with you. And I said, okay, you can sit in the right seat. So we fly back and we get out of the plane back in America. He gets out to go into customs and he's wearing these white shorts that now have peanut butter and jelly stains on the ass.
Oh no.
I guess I didn't check the seat before I gave it up to him, but
Oops.
yeah, I don't
But
know.
white shorts, that feels very Bahamas,
It
doesn't
was
it?
very Bahamas.
My
It was a very
gosh.
Bahama day.
Did you fly in shorts and flip flops when you
Oh
were
yeah,
doing that?
no, no, no. When I did that job, I had to wear a pilot costume. Yeah.
Okay,
Now I
good.
had another job flying similar where we did a mostly freight, and that was a short. I would never fly in full.
You were in shorts? Oh, that's
Oh
so cool.
yeah. Oh
Oh man.
yeah.
If you want to see a wacky airplane, folks at home, Google up shorts aircraft.
No, 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 no. I wore shorts. I didn't fly in
Oh.
shorts. No, no.
Oh.
I I see the confusion there. Yeah, that is a wacky airplane.
It's like a
That's
tissue
like,
box with wings.
yeah, that's like you ever heard the thing, air traffic control. You got a shorts at your 10 o'clock, call them in sight. And they say, I don't see the airplane, but I see the box it came in.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's a
true. It's
shorts.
literally a box with wings on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were doing freight and shorts. Did you do the flip flops or no?
No, no, no.
See, I'm a no flip flops guy because I feel like it'll interfere with the rudder pedals and the brakes.
Yeah. Also, if I crash or, there's a fire, whatever, I got to get out in a hurry. I want to be able to run.
Okay, smart, not burn your feet.
Flip flops, Crocs, not good. Don't. Yeah, just don't.
Crocs will work. Closed toed shoes.
I don't know. I'm
Okay.
not a.
I've flown barefoot as like I've flown barefoot, but I won't fly flip flops. Like I'll shoes or barefoot, but not flip flops.
Okay. Well,
They're too floppy.
all the fun you can have when you take the chief pilot out of the equation, right?
Oh, the chief pilot. Oh,
That's coming up. Should we preview that? That's going to be our upcoming.
anybody at home like their boss?
You know what? Yeah. Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Well, that sounds like a really good time to close up the episode. We got a lot more to talk about here at Cats on Guard.
We
Yeah,
have.
you guys at home probably have some questions. Please email us, catsonguard@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. Poke around, ask questions about our material, send us questions for suggestions for more episodes. Let us know.
That's it. We will see you next time. My name is MC Howe.
Co-Captain Richard Milliam.
Bye.